Live. David. Oh my
Hi,
gosh. The
I think
Spark
it's
Cap is
working.
live. We've been talking about doing this for what? How long?
We've been talking about doing something for years. I don't know if it was this or something else, but we've definitely been talking about doing something or trying to do something or pretending to do something for a very long time. And now we're
I think,
doing something.
yes, very true. But no, I mean, we've had a lot of incredibly interesting conversations about technology, not just from the what's the latest, greatest, or how do you enable this, or what do you use this widget for? But the backstory, like how does electronic technology affect who we are, you
Hmm.
know, as humans? How is it changing civilization? How do we feel about that? How can we bring more people into that, which is obviously like your whole gig with Make. Um, but also something I've really looked at in my practice, trying to make technology into a language, creating new symbols, new archetypes and stuff. So yeah, it's time to bring that conversation to the world.
Literally. So, I mean, where this came from is that Kelly and I talk pretty much every week, I would say. And we have these conversations. I think we have like half an hour on the calendar, but sometimes we'll go hour and a half, 2 hours, which hopefully we're not going to go that long today. But when we were talking this week, we were just kind of lamenting our failure to have like actually collaborated on anything in all this time. And so this is where we started talking about a project. Are we going to talk about the project, or are we just going to talk about the meta project?
I think the meta project, because,
Okay.
like we came up with the idea of Spark Gap, if you
Yeah.
remember the Spark Gap for this video series, because we really wanted to talk about how to connect art. And when I say art, I mean like in a very human, heart-centric way. Like not art where you have to be like smart or know how to code, or just art is something that all humans have, right? We're all born artists. Now, whether or not that means you have the talent to be a professional artist is another story, but still there's like that impulse to create. And then you've got this technology thing, which is like obviously changing everything and on everyone's mind, especially now with AI. But art and technology, art and science, even, for all the lip service about connecting them, it's still not working like as well as it can or should. At least that's how I see it. And so one of the reasons you and I talk all the time, right, is that I'm like, David, how do I build this thing? Why is this so hard?
Hmm.
Like, what do I need to do to make XYZ happen? And I mean, that's coming from me being an MIT grad and spending more than 20 years building electronics. So if I'm, feeling that way, I would bet most people are kind of frustrated.
So when we were talking about our project that is not this project, the discussion that we had was like, we want to, I was saying we should create byproducts during that process of all the things that we learn, all the things that we have to figure out. We should share that as we go instead of
Yeah.
just like, you know, a lot of the time what you see on YouTube, for example, is some kind of amazing thing that just appeared out of nowhere as if by magic, because they don't show
Right.
that actually that took hundreds of hours and thousands of failures and all of that process.
Right,
So
right, right. Yeah.
our
Yeah, or like here's something you can do with an Arduino, which is great, right? Some
Mhm.
people, they have an Arduino, they want to know that, but that's more like I have a hammer, let me show you how to hit this nail, right? Whereas yeah, so should we tell them what the project is? I mean, the meta project is important, right? Because it's like it's the narrative, it's the story, it's like getting more people to see inside of how art and technology can actually be in dialogue and
Mhm.
what it takes, what the
Yeah,
skills are, and how more people can connect, right? That's the meta project. Or is there
that's the
more?
meta project. We are inside the
Actually,
meta project right now.
We are,
Yeah.
yes. I know everybody's like, "What's the project?" We're like, "You're only gonna hear about the meta project." But I think that, I wanna add to the meta project. It's a cloud. It's got lots of things in it.
Mhm.
Um, in addition to the sort of superstructure of art, science, intuition, logic, creativity, analysis, right? This polarity that art and technology is battling on, right? Um, there's another part of that that's really interesting to me, and I want to unpack as we go along. Not just like, okay, we're building this thing, and here are the tools we use to make it happen. Like, we're going to do that, right? We're going to
Mhm.
share that
We're gonna do that, yeah.
practical, but also there is so much in science and technology, really, that for me, the more I do it, the more I'm like, oh my God, physics, right? There's so much in physics
Mhm.
that takes you to the most incredibly spiritual place. And when I say spiritual, I mean that in a very general sense, like not when I'm talking about religion or you have to believe in God or anything like that, but in the kind of space that Einstein referred to, where, whether so like energy, frequency, vibration, looking at like the basics of what is machine intelligence, of what is AI, and you go deeply, deeply into that, and you find yourself suddenly like looking at something really fundamental and universal about reality. And we need to bring that out more, unpack that more. Cause I think that I feel like that not, yes, knowing how to build stuff, totally. And we're going to do that and then share it. Yes. But then there's also this whole other aspect, which is just like a really deep understanding. And I feel like there's so much peace in understanding, you know? And I think that's a
Mm.
huge part of why we make art, is to
Yeah,
understand, right?
I like it.
Yes, sorry I'm talking so much, but just to add to that, like when you write code, and you're just focused on making the code work and like pressing your compiler and it doesn't work and press, you know what I mean? Or you're trying to like engineer a prompt for ChatGPT or whatever. You get into a very logical mode where you're very goal oriented, task oriented, and you're like, I want, to write this code to make this thing happen. And you're not in a space of wonder, of curiosity, of true like understanding and communing with the magic of how these things are working. So I just also want to make sure we pause and smell the roses, and I think also invite some guests to come who can give us some really juicy insights into like, you know, like, you know, what looking at like the signals that AI works on, for example, and or looking at like sensors, like radio reception
Mm.
or light detection, or these things where it's like, what's actually happening there? What does that tell us about perception? What does it tell us about who we are and how we interact with the physical world, right?
I love it. Two things that popped into my head while you were talking. First of all, when you started talking about physics and things like that, I was thinking, I don't know how much physics I know, which reminded me that part of this is that we intend to completely humble ourselves,
Yeah.
and we're gonna, reach out to experts. We're gonna reach out to the audience, and we're not gonna try and profess things or say that this is how you do this, or we're just diving into this. Obviously, we do have a lot of experience in a lot of fields, but part of this is that when we were discussing the project, we were talking about getting other people's ideas, and then this is a great way to get other people's ideas. And so part of it is that we're going to completely humble ourselves and completely open ourselves up to other people's ideas and inputs. And, we might come up
Yeah.
with some PCB, and then someone says that, why have you got that, where's your ground plane or whatever, and like we're totally there for that. We are excited to be critiqued and corrected, and part of this is like we're not trying to talk down and say like this is how you do something. We're just doing a thing, and we're recording it while we go, and if people have ideas, feedback, then that is a huge part of this is getting that from people.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
the second thing I was going to say,
Yeah, go ahead.
the second thing I was going to say is we are, in case you can't tell from from our dialogue, making it up as we go along. We didn't rehearse this, and literally we came up with the idea yesterday. In fact, we're using my YouTube channel for this because there's a 24-hour waiting period for new YouTube channel, so we couldn't live stream on the real SparkGrat channel. So we're just using this, and we're just trying to keep it casual and keep it fun. And if it doesn't stay casual and fun, if it becomes annoying and a big deal, then
We're
we
quitting.
end up dropping it. So part of
Yeah.
it is just no pretense, openness, and documenting everything, sharing everything, warts and all, and just being really open about everything.
Yeah, definitely. If it gets annoying, we're quitting. So please, no haters. And we're not getting paid. We're just here because we're like we enjoy the conversation that we have. Again, I actually kind of like the idea that we don't even tell them what the project is until the next episode. Let's just talk about the meta project because that's kind of the real project.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe.
All
I don't know. I'm just saying,
okay.
like we have to have some kind of
Yeah.
hook to get them to come back. But
all right. Yeah. I mean, we can definitely
yeah.
allude to the project because the whole thing came from brainstorming this project and then just this idea of, hey, if we're already doing this project, what if we did, live streams and making everything open source and all that stuff. And that's where we ended up doing this part.
Yeah, and you were the one who was like, it's really all about the meta project. So I'm just pinning that on you. But
well, we were talking about what aspects of things I was interested in at the moment, and it did turn out that a lot of the things were more the meta than the actual sort of spending a bunch of time delivering a product kind of thing. So
yeah, but isn't that just it though? I mean, I've been like everyone right now is thinking about talking about AI. If you're in technology and you're not thinking about and talking about AI, then I don't know, chime in. But it's just wow. And it's interesting for those of us who you and I are both, right? Like we've been working in electrical engineering, whether it's hardware or software, for more than 2 decades. How long have you been working in this space?
what you said is not inaccurate.
Okay. So anyway, just to put it out there that on the one hand, I think anyone who's been working in this space for a long time is like, well, it's not like AI was born yesterday. Like
Right.
it's been around, right? It's not like all of a sudden, bam, it was invented,
Yeah.
It's just that all of a sudden, bam, everyone's talking about it. But in the context of the Meta project, that's huge because as an artist, I've spent again, more than 2 decades making work about machine intelligence and not having a whole lot of people interested, or if they're interested, they're still like, what do you, I don't get it. Why does it matter? Like computers are just these like tools. They're kind of like off in this like office space and I use them to accomplish a goal. But the amazing thing that's happened just recently with AI, like jumping the fence in the cultural ethos, right, is that suddenly computers are no longer seen as these things that are just going to like stay in their little place, right? I think more and more people are starting to see what you and I have always known, which is that machine intelligence is like really interesting, not just to be able to check your email or analyze data in the cloud or the things you can do with computers, right? But also because when you look at it and you think about it and then you look at and you think about what intelligence is at all, it's interesting, right? It's like, well, I mean, you want to say that machines are not intelligent, really intelligent or sentient or whatever, but then you build a circuit that has like random behaviors and has sensors where it's environmentally reactive and is creating some sort of new effect. And it's like, wait, where do I draw the line? So
I'm
it's
bummed that we
cool.
can't talk about the project, because as you're talking about that stuff, I was like having ideas about like, oh, you know what, we could. Ooh, I was having some ideas to do with the actual project based on some of the stuff you were saying. Um, that there's a meta project as well, where this is the meta project, and in the past 24 hours, we pulled together a bunch of stuff related to the meta project. Registered a domain name, the sparkgap.ai. There's not much to look there. It's just a test page at the moment. Set up social media
I
and
know, but
stuff
I
like
love
that.
that name.
Yeah. Well,
I love
let's
that
talk.
name.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, when you started talking about ChatGPT, I was going to ask if you wanted to talk about the logo process
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
went. Yeah. So
Yeah, we can
go ahead.
definitely. I mean, I definitely think we need to do at least one episode on interacting with ChatGPT, and I'm sure it will come up like
Mhm.
regularly. And when I say ChatGPT, it's just like basically interacting with a large language model.
Yeah.
Although it's funny, it's like ChatGPT is like the Kleenex of
Yeah.
the, you know what I mean, of the like interacting with the text-based AI. But to be fair, it wasn't just text I was interacting with. I was interacting with Dolly, the image generator at OpenAI. And so when we decided, okay, let's do this SparkGap.ai. And you were so funny. You were like, I can't remember, you said something about like, wait, we decided to just like, so let's just do it tomorrow. No
Yeah.
preparation. Let's just go. Right. Um, and then you said, yeah, so I'm going to register this and that. And Kelly, you need to make a logo. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, it's so funny, to think about making a logo in like 12 hours. I mean, of course it's going to be, crap. I don't know, not necessarily, but like probably, right? Plus
But
I had
that's
all the other stuff on my schedule. But this is
right.
like why everybody's excited about AI, because the promise is like, it's going to save so much time. And right.
So
Well, so I threw some prompts in to ask ChatGPT or Dolly to cook up a SparkGap logo for me. And the first results were terrible, because it's that same thing where you're like, okay, I wasn't specific enough. Although I have to say, maybe you've had this too. Like sometimes if you're too specific, the results are even worse. Have you noticed
yeah,
that? And
absolutely.
then it also seems like ChatGPT is like moody. It's weird. You notice that? I mean, I realize there's like whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but so what I ended up doing, because you had said let's do an animated GIF,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, I asked Dolly, can you do an animated GIF? And it's like, no, but I'd be happy to tell you how to make an animated GIF in Adobe Illustrator. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, no, actually, I don't want you to tell me how to do it. I want you to do it. So then I asked it to make a sequence of images that I could animate to make the GIF. And the thing, so this is why I was saying it was moody, because I had to ask it several times. And the first image sequences that it produced were really weird. So they had, it made an effort to provide me with background transparency, but it wasn't regular, and it had like weird like lines in the middle. And it was just, it was like the kind of mistake you don't really think that ChatGPT is going to make anymore. It was like a stupid mistake. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I don't know. Sometimes I see it do things that are so amazing that I hold it to a higher standard now. But then all of a sudden, like on the next prompt, sometimes you just kind of have to keep sort of trying permutations of the same thing, or even just the same thing, right? Like try again, try again. And it gave me a single image that had a 3x3 grid of the same logo that I could then pull into Photoshop, crop out each one, and then just throw in. And so that's what I did. Like, I didn't do any art. I just grabbed those 9 images and made them into an animated GIF. So truthfully, outside of the fact that ChatGPT can't actually produce literally an animated GIF, it made all of the images for it.
And do you remember what the final prompt was that you used by any chance?
I can pull it up.
Can you also pull the GIF up? We should have.
Yeah, we don't know how to do screen sharing. We should have done that, but I guess people will see it next time, right?
Oh yeah, we'll have it on the channel and things by next time. I didn't know if you had it on your phone or something easily.
I mean, I can just hold it up. Oh yeah, the animated GIF on my phone. No, but I might have the image. Let's see what it says here. Oh yeah, I do. Okay. So
you emailed it to me, so if you got your email on your phone, then it would be on there.
Yeah, no, hang on. Yeah, I'm trying to see here. Okay. Okay. I said, actually, okay, so this is still another fail. All right. So it had previously made one static image for me based on a prompt where I wanted it to make a logo for the Spark Gap that had a vintage style, glitchy 1970s video aesthetic. Because I don't know, who doesn't like that, right? And so I got this.
Oh,
and I thought that could work. You know, it's kind of like Jetsons.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cute. And I was trying to get ChatGPT to take that image exactly and then just make it like sparkle.
Cool, yeah.
And so my prompt was turn this static image into a series of images in which the letters and stars appear to sizzle when they are animated. Now, sizzle, of course, what does that mean? I didn't know I was going to get, but sometimes you get interesting things. And I said, do not alter the source image any more than necessary. Now, everyone's going to hopefully give me feedback on why that's a bad prompt. Okay. Because it totally did not do that at all. But what it did do was this. Sorry. Right. That's the one that I ended up using. And you're right. I can pull up the email now, but I was like, okay, it's a total fail in terms of, I mean, it didn't do what I asked.
Yeah.
It did not do what I asked at all. Now, like I said, I am, willing to admit that I might not be like the best prompt engineer in the world, but I still feel like,
Why did it lose the color, for example? Like, how comes it went black and white?
No, it's like it just looks absolutely nothing like the original image. So then when I put it into GIF form, that's cute, right?
I think it's good.
It's cute. I mean, that's like ChatGPT made that, I mean, whatever. But yeah, but still, so yeah, that's a lot. My experience with it right now is that it's incredibly interesting, but you don't always get what you want, or even remotely in an accuracy sense that probably could use a little bit of improvement on the OpenAI side. But the other thing I did with ChatGPT recently, just to share quickly, is that I created an entire Easter egg hunt for my nieces. And so it's really good with text, right? Maybe images still not that great, but what I did was I had a dozen eggs to hide. And so I went out into my parents' backyard and I picked out 12 landmarks. And just in a very simple way, I was like, write 12 brief, clever clues for XYZ, these 12 things that I enumerated. And it was brilliant. And all 12 clues were hilarious and cute and rhymed. And so that it really excelled at that. Yeah.
Going back to the logo. So you came up with the name, the Spark Gap, and you seemed to come up with it instantly, you knew that's what it was going to be. Where did that come from, or what does it mean? Or had you been sitting on that for something else, or
Yeah,
What did I?
because more than 2 years ago, I was going to start a YouTube channel talking about exactly this thing. Well, actually,
Yeah.
no. Let me caveat. I started this was just me right at the time. You and I weren't doing our weekly calls. It was before I went to New York.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to do a YouTube channel to explain why I have dedicated a significant part of my artistic career to building art from the fundamental components of electrical engineering
Mhm.
instead of jumping ahead and taking other people's hardware or interacting with like a CPU, GPU in a computer. But said, no, 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 like going like way back to transistors, resistors, capacitors. Like, why did I do that? Because my reasons are, I mean, we will absolutely end up talking about this in the series of these videos, but I feel very strongly that the fundamentals of electrical engineering are a critical part of any electronic art education forever,
Mhm.
regardless of how complex technology becomes, because it's like the way I see it is it's actually less important like what you build and more important the metaphor, the symbols that they represent, like what a resistor is, like symbolically, in terms
Mm.
of resisting the flow of energy. Which again, it comes back to the physics thing I was saying about how the
Mhm.
philosophical background of what electronics teaches you about the energetic nature of reality, and I'm a yogi. So that's it's to me, like the more I practice yoga and the more I build circuits, I'm like, this is all the same world. Like this is Vedic philosophy.
So two things. One, I realized we never like introduced ourselves or like said who we are or anything. We just like assumed that we're just like a bunch of our friends are watching this and they already know us. But two, how does the Spark Gap name tie back to the original YouTube vision? What does the Spark Gap mean to you?
Um, I mean, I feel like, a spark gap is when you have two conductive points that are, well, they don't, yeah, but that are holding a charge, right? And that finally the voltage potential between those 2 points that are separated in space becomes so great that the electricity like actually conducts across the gap. I mean, this is how synapses work, right?
So
Um, but
are
also
we
it's
the
at that moment, it's the tipping point.
are we those 2 points and this live stream is the tipping point?
I mean, okay, sure.
I'm just
I think that, yeah, yeah,
But I think
sure.
we're trying to bridge a gap of understanding is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, oh wait, no, I need to go this way. It's always so confusing, like the reversal on video. We need to like have like a symmetric electrical bolt
This
that
is
we can, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Maybe that'll be our like intro. Okay.
Well, speaking of intros, we were gonna try and go about half an hour. We're at
We're
28
close.
minutes 45.
So
Um,
we're gonna end our session introducing ourselves.
so I thought, what a great way to end the session is with an
Who
introduction.
are these
But before we
nuts?
do that, let's just say, we're just making this up as if it wasn't completely obvious. But we are planning on doing it, this time weekly-ish. If we're traveling or whatever, then like we're not going to sweat it, and maybe we'll adjust the time, and maybe we'll skip a week, and blah blah
We'll
blah. But
figure it
like
out.
in
We'll figure it out.
general, we're thinking this time every week is when we're going to do this, and so we'll have things set up more because we'll have had more than 24 hours to get things going. But we'll have all the our own channel and all the social media and the cool logo and all of that stuff going in by this time next week. But
And we
in the
will tell
meantime,
people what the project is. We
well, we'll
will.
tell you what the project is next time. Maybe if people are good and they deserve it, then we'll tell them what the project is. And yeah, I think let's close it out with some intros. Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself?
Kelly Heaton, uh, contemporary artist, electrical engineer. Well, you know what? Maybe this is a mid-career problem, but I've come to call myself a creative polymath because I really do a lot of different things. I like to be creative really in just about every medium.
Mhm.
Um, for me, creativity is it's my life, it's my passion. Joyful, heart-centric creativity. And it's interesting working in an engineering space because it's really like that battle between mind and heart. So, yeah, that's who I am.
Wow. I realized too late after I pushed you to introduce yourself. I was like, we should have done reverse. I should have said who you are, and you should have said who I am. But it's too late now.
Oh, oh,
Um,
you
but
can
what?
say who I am too if you want, but I
Well,
might
I
disagree
think
with you.
you kind of already covered it. But yes, I'm David. I'm often known online as iShot JR. That was a sort of alter ego that I made for myself when I first got kind of interested in hardware, because I was, fairly adept and had a very senior role at a software company, but I was new to hardware and needed sort of a place to hide while I like learned and gained my confidence and things like that. And so that's where iShot JR came from. In terms of what I am, if you look at my LinkedIn, it says I'm an enthusiast, because that's the best way I can describe who I am and what I do. Is I'm
You
just
are very enthusiastic.
very excited about a lot of things. Obviously, I have all kinds of things that I do, from a lot of content creation to software engineering to, I don't know, whatever's interesting to me that day, honestly. Um, so that's who I am. This is the Spark Gap, and we'll be live again at 7 p.m. Eastern on April 11th, I believe. So we'll catch you then.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.